Hi. In this video, we are going to state and prove Cauchy-Riemann equations in Cartesian form. Okay. So, in the exam, they will ask you to state and prove. So, you have to memorize the statement. Let's see the statement. The necessary condition that the function w is equal to f of z is equal to u of x comma y plus I into v of x comma y be analytic at any point z is equal to x plus iy is that there exist four continuous partial derivatives. What are those? Del u by del x, del u by del y. That is u with respect to x and u with respect to y. Similarly, del v by del x and del v by del y. So, these four continuous partial derivatives should exist and it should satisfy the equation. What are those equations? Del u by del x is equal to del v by del y. I can write it in short that ux is equal to vy. Both are same. Okay. Similarly, del v by del x is equal to minus del u by del y. I can write it as uy. This negative sign we can take it to the other side also. So, uy is equal to minus vx. Now, this is the statement and we will be using this for lot of problems. So, you have to memorize this. What are those CR equations? Ux is equal to vy and uy is equal to minus vx in Cartesian form. Now, let's see the plan. Before we start the proof, let's see that how we are going to prove. And if you see the statement, we have written necessary. We have two conditions, necessary as well as sufficient. For example, you are there in a room and you want sun rays to be there inside the room. So in that case, what is the necessary condition? It should be a daytime, correct? In the morning only sun rays will come. That is a necessary condition. But that itself is not enough to get the sun rays inside your room, because there should be some window or there shouldn't be any obstacles on the way, all those things. So we call it as sufficient. Okay, necessary and sufficient conditions are there, but here it is a necessary condition. It means this itself is not enough. Okay, so let's see the proof. We are going to start with analytic function because they have given that the necessary condition that the function to be analytic. In the statement itself they have given. So the function is analytic. So analytic means, what do you mean by that? Differentiable at all points by definition, correct? So from analytic we are going to differentiability. When I am saying differentiable, it means I said limit can approach whether through real or through imaginary or through a line, whatever, etc. Right? So, but all the limits should be same. So, we are going to have two cases, that is delta y is equal to 0, because we have x plus iy, right? X is real, y is imaginary. So, I am making delta y 0 means the limit approaches through real, it means. Similarly, case 2, delta x is equal to 0, limit approaches through imaginary. Since I said that the function is analytic, since I said that the function is differentiable, whether it approaches through real or approaches through imaginary, these two values should be the same. So we are going to compare both the answers. So this is the map for proving this. So we are going to start with analytic function. From there we are going to come the concept of differentiability, and from there we are having two cases. Case 1 if the limit approaches through real, and case 2 if the limit approaches through imaginary, and finally we are comparing both the answers. Now let's prove the theorem. Let f of z be analytic at a point z is equal to x plus iy. This is given. So if it is analytic means it is differentiable, right? So hence by definition f dash of z exists and it is unique. And this definition we have seen already in the concept of differentiability. So limit delta z tends to 0, f of z plus delta z minus f of z by delta z. Okay. So in Cartesian form what we have? We have u of x comma y plus I into v of x comma y. So this delta z is nothing but a small increment in z. Okay. According to that increment, z is a combination of x and y. So z corresponding to the increments delta x comma delta y in x comma y. So delta z is a small increment in z. Since z is a combination of x and y, the corresponding increment in x and y is nothing but delta x and delta y. Okay. So analytic derivative exists. Now we are going to apply the formula. Limit delta z tends to 0, u of x plus delta x comma y plus delta y plus I into v of x plus delta x comma y plus delta y. From where it came? We just expanded this function, f of z plus delta z, only the first function. So f is a combination of u and v, correct? In the place of z, what we have? Z plus delta z. So we are going to split this. So x plus delta x comma y plus delta y plus I into v of x plus delta x comma y plus delta y. Because delta z we are splitting it as delta x comma delta y minus f of z. We know what is f of z. What is this? U of x comma y plus I into v of x comma y. We are just substituting here. So what we did, we just expanded this, okay, and we have written the real part as well as imaginary part divided by delta z, okay. So this is the main equation, and now we are going to segregate the real and imaginary part, okay. So we are going to write the function that doesn't contain I first. So u of x plus delta x comma y plus delta y, this doesn't contain I, this is containing I, so we will leave it, minus u of x comma y. Remember, this minus is common for this term as well as this term. So minus u of x comma y, so I have written it. So this term and this term we have written, and the denominator delta z we have done with it. So now what are those imaginary values? Plus I into whatever is along with I is imaginary. So v of x plus delta x comma y plus delta y, we have written this. This minus sign is going inside, minus v of x comma y by delta z. So I into limit delta z tends to 0. I we have taken outside. So what we have done, started with analytic, and we wrote f dash of z formulae, and then we expanded f of z plus delta z and substituted here, and we segregated real and imaginary part to apply the limit, okay. So now, as I told you, delta z is equal to delta x plus I into delta y, corresponding increment in x and y. So how do we know this? Because delta z I can write it as z plus delta z minus z, correct. Now we are going to replace z plus delta z as x plus delta x plus I into y plus delta y, because z is a combination of x and y. So if small increment is there in delta z, means small increment corresponding to that delta z is delta x in x and delta y in y, okay. So z plus delta z we have written as x plus delta x plus I into y plus delta y minus z is nothing but x plus iy, and these values will get cancelled, x and x will get cancelled, plus iy and minus iy will get cancelled. What we are getting? Delta z is equal to delta x plus I into delta y. If you want, directly you can write this and you can skip these two lines, okay. But it's better to write all the things, and if you find that it's little tough, you can skip only these two lines and you can write this directly, okay. So now we know what do you mean by delta z. Now when I am saying that delta z tends to 0, we have the following two possibilities. Not only these two possibilities, many possibilities are there, but always the main study is when it approaches to 0, it can approach through real, it can approach through imaginary. Two cases as I told you. The first one, please remember, delta y we are making it as 0, okay. So delta z will nothing but will become delta x, because this term is becoming 0. So delta z is nothing but delta x, that is what we have written. And delta z tends to 0 means, since it's equal to delta x, it's same as delta x tends to 0. So whatever we have got, we are rewriting this as it is. Only what we are changing, limit delta z tends to 0, I am changing it as delta x tends to 0, and denominator delta z will become delta x in this case when delta y becomes 0, okay. Now what you will have in the next step, this looks like the basic differentiation definition, right? Small increment in u minus u divided by the difference, correct. Similarly, small increment in v minus v divided by the difference. So this is nothing but del u by del x and del v by del x. Direct formula substitution. So when you apply limit, this is nothing but del u by del x and the second term plus I into del v by del x. So when I say change in u only with respect to x, so it means partial. Change in v only with respect to x. So we are having the concept of partial differentiation. So almost you are done with the proof. So these limits form the basic definition or the partial derivatives of u and v with respect to x. So all of a sudden it nicely shrunk into f dash of z is equal to del u by del x plus I into del v by del x. Very nice. Now you are having case 2. When delta x becomes 0. What is delta z? Delta z is delta x plus I into delta y. So delta z will become I delta y. Many students will leave this I so that they won't get the result properly. Okay, please be careful. Delta z is delta x plus I into delta y. So when delta x becomes 0, we have I into delta y, right along with I. So if I say delta z tends to 0, it means I delta y tends to 0, and which is nothing but delta y tends to 0, because we cannot say that I tends to 0. Okay, so we are going to change the limit wherever delta z tends to 0, I will change it as delta y tends to 0. But see here, what is the difference? In the denominator, we are having I delta y. The main first formula we have seen, right? There you are going to replace wherever limit is there, instead of delta z, you have written delta y tends to 0. And here the denominator, numerator, everything is the same. And in the denominator, you have, instead of delta z, you have written I delta y, because this is what given in this case. Similarly, everything numerator is the same, denominator I delta y. And we know that what is 1 by I? 1 by I is nothing but minus I. I square is minus 1, so 1 by I is minus I. If you don't know, it's very simple. 1 by I, multiply numerator by I and denominator by I. So what you will get? I by I square. What is I square denominator? Minus 1. So I by minus 1. So it is minus I. Or you can write it directly. 1 by I is minus I. So what you are going to do is, this 1 by I you have, right? That I am bringing it to the numerator and minus I. Because in the denominator I don't want I. So this denominator by I, 1 by I, if it goes to the numerator, it will become minus I. That is what we have written here. Okay. Rest of the things I didn't touch it. So this will be the same. Numerator is the same by delta y plus second half. Limit delta y tends to 0. Here there is v of x comma y plus delta y minus v of x comma y by delta y. But here 1 by I will go to the numerator, correct? Minus I. But already what you have in the numerator in the second term? I. I into minus I is minus I square, and minus I square is nothing but plus 1. Okay. Please don't cancel this I and this I. As per concept, this I will go to the numerator. So minus I. So already we have one more I, minus I square. What is the value of I square value? Minus 1. And outside one minus is there, so it will become plus. Okay. So don't cancel like this, but in the next step you can write this directly. So only the first term will become minus I into something. Second term is plus positive and there is no I here. Is it clear? So now this is change in u only with respect to y. If you see here, u of x is the same. What we have? Y plus delta y minus u of x comma y by delta y. So we are measuring only the change in y. So I'll write del u by del y. Plus, now here we are measuring only the change in y for v. So del v by del y we have written. So this is the second answer. First answer we have got when delta y is equal to 0, correct? And we have got one more answer when delta x tends to 0. Since the derivative exists, both should be equal. So we are going to compare this. So when we compare the real part and imaginary part, we will get the desired result. And please be careful. Here this is nothing but you are going to substitute the value. I'll show this previous page. So this is what, right? This is the main master equation. If this is correct, everything is correct. Okay, so just you are going to substitute. In the first case, when I substitute delta y tends to 0, so here only y will come. So you have written this. First term will be the same. Okay, here also we have delta y 0. So v of x plus delta x, comma y. We have written only y. Whereas in the second case, what you have delta x is 0. So u of x comma y plus delta y will come here. Similarly, v of x comma y plus delta y will come here. So if this is the main equation, and whatever you are going to substitute, you are going to substitute here. That's it. So numerator, this change will be there. Denominator, wherever delta z is there, we have replaced it by delta x in first case. Since I said that f dash of z is analytic, the answer I got from the first case and the answer I got from the second case should be equal. So this is the answer you got from the first case, del u by del x plus I into del v by del x. This is the answer you got from the second case, del v by del y, this term, minus I into del u by del y. Negative sign I have written second. That's it. This I have written first and this negative I have written second here. Okay. So now I am saying that these two are equal. It means the corresponding real part should be equal, corresponding imaginary part should be equal, because we are in complex. A plus IB is equal to C plus ID means A should be equal to C. We will equate only the real part, correct? So what is the real part over here? Del U by del X. What is the real part over here? Del V by del Y. So we have equated this. What is the imaginary part over here? Del V by del X. What is the imaginary part? We won't write I, but we will write the negative sign also, right? Minus del U by del Y. You just see this once again. This is nothing but your CR equation. That is Ux is equal to Vy. This is the short form notation. So U suffix x means I am partially differentiating U with respect to x. Ux is equal to Vy and del V by del x. Vx is equal to minus Uy. Vx is equal to minus Uy, or you can say Uy is equal to minus Vx. Both are same. So these are the necessary conditions in the Cartesian form for the complex valued function f of z is equal to u plus ib to be analytic. Please note, a function analytic means always it will satisfy CR equation. But only CR, if it satisfies CR equation, it need not be analytic at all the time. There are certain examples where CR equations are satisfied, but still the function is not analytic. That is what I mentioned, necessary. It is not sufficient, it is only a necessary condition. Okay. So analytic always implies CR equations are satisfied. But CR equations satisfied, then definitely I cannot say the function is analytic. It is like something similar to the concept of continuity and differentiability. Correct? If the function is differentiable, then definitely it is continuous. But if it is continuous, I cannot say in all the cases it will be differentiable. Okay, this is a proof for CR equation in Cartesian. So we started with analytic function, we wrote the definition of differentiability, and then we considered two cases to approach the limit. When delta x tends to 0, one case, delta y tends to 0, another case, and finally I am saying since the function is differentiable, these two answers should be same. So I am comparing the real part and imaginary part. I got these CR equations. So in the next video, let's see CR equations in polar form. What we have seen is Cartesian form. Okay, and one more thing, if you are having a doubt about how to differentiate partially, I'll do a separate video. You can just go through that before we start problems in complex. Thank you.